Hello, my name is Abdy Taminsyah, and I'm the founder and CEO of Monsoon Sim. I would like to thank World Education Summit and Osiris Educational for having me as a speaker today. I will talk about interactive experiential learning using gamification and simulation. Being a founder and having involved with Monsoon Sim for the last 12 years, I will use Monsoon Sim as an example for this presentation. Agenda. What prompts educators looking for new pedagogical techniques? And why experiential learning? Why use gamification and simulation? And how Monsoon Sim does it? A little bit more about Monsoon Sim use cases, and let's have a summary. When the internet changed the world roughly 30 years ago, the topic of how we teach and learn became a very good discussion point among educators. Over the past decade, the disruption in education has gotten very critical due to the rapid rise of Google, YouTube, Wikipedia, etc. Many learners have begun to embark on non-traditional education pathways. Study shows that a whopping 86% of people say that they have often used YouTube to learn new things. And that is before the release of AI, the likes of ChatGPT, etc. Naturally, in order to stay effective, many educators are looking for new pedagogical techniques. This is why we have developed an experiential learning platform that allows business school teachers to teach by using a combination of gamification and simulation. The goal of Monsoon Sim is to equip teachers with the tools to enable learning by doing. But firstly, why experiential learning? Where do we get our working knowledge from? Research shows that we get 70% of our working knowledge from experience, 20% from social learning, and only 10% from formal education. So you see, experiential learning is very important, especially experiential learning that can include social learning. Imagine you learn to drive by reading the book, because in real life, it's quite different, isn't it? There is a fundamental reason why experiential learning is particularly effective. It's called knowledge build-up. So for example, before you're a good driver, you have to go through normal road, major road, highways, hazards, and so on. And this is called experience build-up. And you cannot jump the queue. No matter how much you know about driving extreme weather, but if you haven't gone through the experience of driving, you won't know. From another angle, why do we continue to learn like this if real work is like that? So now that we have talked about why experiential learning, but why use gamification and simulation? In any game, there is always a need to win factor. From there, they develop the need to know. Students then will have the need to explore and therefore experience. And from there, that's your self-directed learning. Sometimes they make mistakes, and that's even better because that's when they also learn. Sometimes the students, in order to win, they have to experiment with different ideas, different strategies, and therefore they also explore and experience and learn. Also, because of need to win, they need to collaborate with their teammates. That's your social learning, the teamwork. On the other hand, simulation is great if you want to explain a specific concept. What you do is you design the right context or simulate the right context, and then you explain that concept based on that context. So for example, if you want to explain what happens if you run out of cash to your student, cash flow management, they probably do not appreciate that much if you just tell them what will happen. However, if you put them in the context, I'm sure your student will appreciate the pain more. So you may be looking at designing your own gamification platform, or you may be looking for one for your own teaching needs. Now that we have seen why experiential learning, why gamification and simulation, let's see how Monsoon Sim does it. So how do you teach experience in your class? This is the Monsoon Sim's approach to this challenge. We built a model with 13 business departments, and each of these departments has a lot of micro concepts embedded within them, immersed within the department. Educators can configure the business scenario in a simulated market that meets their lesson plan. Learners then come in teams and operate their virtual business in that simulated environment and compete with the other teams. And in the process, they will explore, they will discuss, they will strategize, and they will learn. We have procurement department, warehouse, production department, retail stores, marketing, e-commerce, human resource department, service management department, finance and accounting, maintenance or asset management, and forecast and planning. So a facilitator can configure Monsoon Sim into various business scenarios and allow the learners that come in team to compete and learn through gamification and simulation. As an example, in this case, the students will be operating their virtual company that has procurement and retail departments. So in order to do well, they have to buy and sell. Now, in such a simple scenario, the students will be exposed to concept of revenue, cost of goods sold, trading profit, operating expense, and so on. And the learners are learning it in a game where there are a lot of competitors and uncertainties in the marketplace, such as the fluctuation of pricing, supply issue, and logistic issue, etc. Now, as a facilitator, you can always increase the complexity by adding, say, accrual accounting and vendor's credit limit. In this case, then, the students will have to deal with vendor credit limit, payment terms, cycle stop, liabilities, and so on. And there are many more business cases that you can define for your students. In a moment, I will share with you the use case of Monsoon Sim in various universities. There are many business games out there. Each is designed to teach a specific concept. For Monsoon Sim, it can be used to teach the following courses. And as you can see, they're all business related. We have already covered the business model. Now, let's take a look at three other components. One is environment management, the other one is simulation configuration, and the third is simulation outcomes or gamification outcome. These are the features that can be controlled by the facilitators. Timing and tempo allows the facilitator to control how to fit the gamification into their lesson plan based on the available time and also perhaps how many sessions per semester and how many hours per session. Players and teams, that is something that the facilitator can control. There are typically 5 players per team, and there are typically up to 10 teams per simulation game. Then there are robots that the facilitator can assign into the game to challenge the human, to challenge the students. Or you can also use the robot versus the robot, so you can put it in a simulation mode that is excellent for teaching the specific concepts. Then we have the boss, which is the virtual teaching assistant, that is excellent tools to guide the players along as they play the game, and they can give them early warning signals, for example, as they perhaps run out of cash, run out of capacity, and so on. Then we have a lot of micro courses that are all pre-packaged for the teachers to run. For example, car dealership courses, chocolate, cafe distribution, coffee beans, wholesalers, they're all in the micro course. And then configuration sharing allows the facilitator to save the configuration and share it with other facilitators around the world or within their university. Next, let's look at the elements within Monsoon Sim that you can configure. You can configure attribute for the customers. You can define the characteristic of the suppliers. You can define your products. For example, it could be juice, it could be chocolate, big TV. This can be the service that you like to provide, your warehouse attribute, the e-commerce characteristic, the retail stores, the location where you want to do the business in, the employees, the virtual staff, the characteristic of the staff, the machines, the currency that you want to play in the game, the bank attribute, the financial crisis that you like to define, to challenge the students, for example, the environmental impacts for the logistics or for the production and so on, expose them to the concept of sustainability, and of course you can turn on or off the departments that you like to use, and many other configuration. The results and assessment has to be immediately available to the students and also the teachers. As a facilitator, you can show the KPI live to the students as they play the game. Also, you can set targets, measure the results instantly when they play the game. Or you can define a set of scoring that shows the relative strength of one team versus the other. Of course, you have the full game report at the end of the game. Plus, this is important, you can use any third-party tools to tap straight into the database and access the tables and columns for them to learn how to design their own scorecard, etc. A quick recap. We've talked about why experiential learning is important because that's really 70% of their working knowledge. Secondly, we talk about why gamification and simulation. Thirdly, we have talked about how Monsoon Sim implements experiential learning through gamification and simulation. Let's take a look at one practical example. What you have here is the learning model based on gamification that we talked about earlier. Now let's suppose you define a game, a simple game such as a retail store, and you say that to the student, you need to be profitable and you need to avoid bankruptcy. In order to win this game, they need to know how to increase their asset. They need to know how the assets are related to revenue and need to increase sales, obviously, and need to achieve good profit. So they need to explore and experience. For example, they need to change the price. They need to perhaps explore multiple stores, perhaps negotiate for a better contract, reduce the overflow fee, lowering the cost of buying, and maybe they make mistake. Bought too little, bought too much, running out of cash, out of inventory, overly aggressive, overly conservative. All these are learning experience. And in the process, they will learn why retail business is not easy, why we need to conserve cash and control the cash, why do we need proper financial reports, and we have to appreciate accounting. We have to track our profit per store, for example, and why do we need teamwork. So these are all the benefits of learning through gaming. Here are three more examples that I like to explain using gamification and simulation. These are 5 elements of financial statement: asset, expense, liability, equity, and revenue. For the simulation mode, you can use it to teach students what they are. However, the why should be coming from gamification, because teaching students why the element exists and why they are important in the context of a game is so much more exciting and so much more effective. Example 2, a basic journal entry. In a simulation, you show them what they are and how they are being posted. The real impact comes from gamification. Here you can teach the student why journal entries are important and why company needs to ensure prompt, proper, accurate journal entries. The third example, financial reports. In a simulation mode, you can show them what they are. Easy. However, the real impact comes from gamification. That's when they teach the student why financial reports are important and why accounting is the core function of any business. So here are some of the screenshots of Monsoon Sim. As a facilitator, this is your game admin page. And here are the 13 business departments that you can turn on or off. And here are a lot of their parameters that you can configure within each department. Finance, procurement, retail, etc. And here are a set of menus that you can use to control your game. For example, this is where you define your team and you allow the students to join your team. And when they have joined, you will be able to see them here. Then this is the prepackaged courses that you can select and run. And within each of the course, you can find the teaching material which you can use to explain the process to the student before you run the game. Here's where you do the observation in real time. The student's performance KPI in terms of absolute value or in terms of relative strength. And there's a lot more you can observe in this menu. And this is the screen for the learners. So every learner has its own screen. So even though they work in a team, each has their own screen. However, the data that we look at is going to be per company or per team. This is the day right now. The game is on day 12. And this is the guide. If I click this, there's a lot of guide that I can go through. And this is the chat box if I want to chat with my teacher or I chat with my colleague. And this is the active guide that will help me in case I have any problem. For example, I can click and it will give me some advice. Now, this is the roadmap of my game. Currently, I'm on day 12. And then as the game progresses, this will continue. Currently, the game is stopped. And these are the finance, retail, marketing menu, e-commerce, and so on and so forth, depending on what module is being turned on by the teacher. And this is my observation panel. There are a lot of charts that I can open up. For example, I can look at what is my retail sales for the last 5 days. And this is what it will show me. All right. And these are all my KPI box for every department that is open. For example, for my finance KPI, I can look at my revenue, my cost, my trading profit as it is now. And if I were to look at my procurement KPI, how many PO that I have open? 12. How many people are working in the procurement department? If I look at my retail KPI, I have a bunch of stores, one in Adelaide, one in Melbourne, Townsville, Brisbane, and each store I have the number of inventory and my space being utilized and the staff working in the store. So I can continue to explore my KPI department by department. So that is the screen for the learner. Ease of use is so important for today's generation. They are used to playing games without reading any manuals. So your gamification platform must also be very easy to use. Of course, for the teacher, it has to be very easy to facilitate. For MonsoonSIM, we take that to heart. Any teacher can become a facilitator in a matter of hours. Okay, so let's take a look at some use case. The first one is from Michigan State University. It's an undergraduate course. The course name is Intermediate Financial Accounting 1. The lecturer is Professor Susan Convery. The objective is to develop various core competency relevant and valuable to accounting students. This includes accounting professional, critical thinkers, strategic problem solvers. So what she said is that what we want is to align undergraduate goals with the graduate program goals, and MonsoonSIM helps with that. MonsoonSIM was innovative, fun, and it was designed as a competition with teams that fit the set of goals we want. The second use case is again from Michigan State University Business School. It's a graduate school. The course name is Graduate Enterprise System Course. The Professor Severin Grabsky. The objective is to learn and develop integrated technology to solve business and accounting problems, leverage information technology to make informed decisions, leverage fundamental ideas in data science to make informed decisions, provide a conceptual understanding of hands-on use of enterprise system and how it facilitates business management. And what he said was that the fun team learning experience for students and learners, MonsoonSIM helped bring forth countless theories and concepts and prompt understanding of it to the configured scenarios, all of which could be tailored to the needs of the classroom. Then use case number 3 is from Penn State University. undergrad school. Course name is Accounting System and Control. Professor Susan Wright. Objective, gain a solid understanding of core business process, functional area integration within companies, which help employees achieve efficient and effective operation. Professor Wright says that exciting to see students having fun while learning. MonsoonSIM makes it easier to teach. MonsoonSIM is a lot more comprehensive. Students also pick up the concept very quickly. And the fourth use case is also from Penn State University, Graduate School, MIS 479W, Enterprise Information System, Professor Akhil Kumar. Objective is to understand ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. And then we have MonsoonSIM use case 5, Singapore University of Social Science, undergrad, Business 100 by Dr. Ma, and the objective is to provide students with key business skills and problem discovery and solving abilities using various techniques. According to the student feedback, most preferred the experiential learning mode over the traditional lectures, as it allowed them to understand the complexity of business operation using an integrative approach. Then we have Professor Jevskoska, Faculty of Economics, Macedonia, very interested in the data science part of MonsoonSIM, and in fact she has written a book about it. And then we have Dr. Christine Contesoro from Deakin University in Australia. We're happy to see student engagement in simulation, also holistic understanding of accounting and business process the students have gained. They really enjoy participating in the simulation and report how much they have learned, and they're easy to set up and run. The platform extremely robust without any difficulties. Other use case perhaps you can think about is management course. MonsoonSIM can be used to simulate a company, allowing students to experience the role of manager and make decisions that affect the company's performance. Operation management course allow them to experience the various operation functions of a company, such as procurement, production, distribution. Marketing course, financial management course. So these are all the use case that you can think about. So if you are looking for a new pedagogical technique, gamification and simulation can be a good choice. And if you're thinking about that, then I would suggest you look for a few attributes. Number one, it has to be highly configurable, because the dynamics of game must be there so that the student doesn't feel that it is predictable and it is always fun and evolving. Number two, the gamification and simulation, if possible, can coexist. That is because they both are powerful in their own way. Number three, it has to be very easy to use. Thank you.